East Podcast, WATP.
We talked about Chad Zumach this week on a bonus show. We reviewed Kumia's Cucks. Yeah. And Doom made a clip of that. And so Chad went over that. And then we talked about MLC and their Atlantic City event and how that seems to be not going well. They didn't budget it correctly. They didn't plan it out real well.
The $1,200 GBO, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how that's going to go for them. And then that became fodder for Chad's show, and then MLC watched it as well. And I thought this was fun. I was watching this clip here where KB freaks out about something I say. This is the big takeaway from this week on WATP. Two big takeaways. Chad hates being called short. It really, really bothers him. And Kevin Brennan hates being compared to his brother Neal. He really, really dislikes it when you talk about how his brother Neal is more famous than him.
And the Tattleverse.
Isn't that interesting that you were going to play Neal Brennan, who then went on to become extremely famous? Now, that's me talking to Adam Busch. And if you missed it, Adam Busch had a huge reveal on the most recent episode of WATP that he was actually cast to be Kevin's brother for Kevin's pilot sitcom.
No, he was reading for it.
He was reading for it. Yeah. Right. He didn't get the part. Didn't get the part. But he read for it. He made it through a couple of rounds. And so he actually read with Kevin for the part.
Oh no.
He was going to be played by someone on a sitcom, only to go on and be.
No. The Chappelle show was already happening. Carl has no idea what he's talking about, as usual. The Chappelle show was already happening. Neal was at the peak of his fame when I made the pilot, literally.
So I remember Chappelle show. All my friends were into it. We all talked about it. It was a great show. Was everyone talking about Neal Brennan's role on that show?
Who even knew Neal Brennan had anything to do with it until like 5 years after?
That's what I mean. What is he talking about? And I'll prove my point in a second. But right there, Kevin's trying to be like, oh, no, Neal's nothing since that.
Literally. So,
but he also said extremely famous. He's not. He's famous.
He's not even close to extremely famous. But again, Carl's always trying to like pretend that has all this wisdom and then he's going to pass it on to his listeners. And it's just always bullshit.
Be like, we're going to play Neal Brennan, who then went on to become extremely famous.
Completely not even true.
Another lie.
Completely not even true.
Write it down.
I mean, it's so.
Chad's doing this thing where he says I lie all the time, and he's like, I've been writing down all Carl's lies, and so he'll write down things where I'll play a clip of Chad getting concerned about Kevin backing out of their live show or not liking the way he's running it, and so in my analysis, I'll be like, oh, Chad's like, oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, what can I do to make this better? And Chad's like, I didn't say that. What? Right? That's not a lie. That's my analysis of how you're reacting emotionally.
Yeah, it was an exaggeration for a laugh.
Correct.
Yeah, it's a lie because you didn't read the transcript.
He writes down, oh, that's a lie. I didn't say I'm sorry. And so he's like, I got 16 lies. Okay. This is Neal Brennan's YouTube page with 208,000 subscribers. And here's some videos that came out recently, 5 months ago, 1.1 million views with Johnny Knoxville. Bill Burr was on the show. That has over 900,000. 856,000 with Seth Green. Trevor Noah, 652,000. Do you see my point on here? 623,000, 576, 476,000. These are all within the last year, 466,000. And Kevin Brennan's just going like, my brother's not even popular. I don't know what you're talking about.
Those are Costco guy numbers, Carl.
That's true. Also extremely famous.
Unbelievable. Go to Neal's podcast and see how Neal's incredible numbers Neal.
I just did. Good advice. Thank you, Kevin.
Doing. Extremely famous.
I can guarantee you Neal Brennan can walk through Tampa and Publix and he wouldn't even get recognized.
And no one's going to try to punch him.
If Neal's in the general public, he gets recognized. I after the Chappelle show came out, I would be with Neal and people would come up to him. So
Neal wasn't on camera on that show. Am I crazy?
I don't think he
Maybe
was.
he was on a little bit.
Sketches.
Yeah. I mean, he wasn't a main character on that show.
Neal probably gets recognized maybe if he's out and about, maybe once a day tops. But the fact that he's like, he can't, like, he's Adam Sandler, he can't go anywhere.
See how much this bothers Kevin?
Yeah, he's going on about
This
it.
is great. I love this. And it's been theorized forever that Kevin gets very salty when you bring up Neal Brennan being more famous than him and more successful. But here's a prime example of it.
Gets hounded. I mean, again, this is Carl being like, this is what Carl thinks, so this must be true because this is what Carl thinks, even though he's literally never left Rochester. And it's Adam Busch is like, we're all in this together. The same thing Bill Schultz used to say. We're all in this together. Are we, Bill? How's the Coke treating you, Bill?
Only to go on and be like, well, no, that's Neal Brennan from Netflix. Yeah, I know that guy.
Oh, Neal Brennan from Netflix. Oh, I got it. Oh, I see what he's saying. You mean Neal Brennan who sold out Madison Square Garden recently? That same Neal Brennan? I mean, these guys are f***ing, it's so...
He has 3 Netflix specials. I don't know what else you want as a comedian. He didn't sell out Madison Square Garden. That is true.
I like how how Adam Busch is an asshole because Bill Schultz used to say something.
I know. Kevin's got so many enemies. Oh my gosh, that Venn diagram would be fucking crazy if you tried to look at how all of his enemies overlap and shit.
His head is a Rolodex of spite.
We had Dave Landau on the show, Kevin also has enemies with, and I brought up Mr. Company or Kevin Brennan or something, and Dave just goes, he's still doing a show? Everyone leaves this guy in the dust.
Ouch.
And Kevin Brennan's now buddies with Chad Zumock, the guy he used to have on the show to clown with Bob Levy. That was his only role. That's how he got the super chats. Everyone would be making fun of Chad for being a criminal and a loser and not being able to afford his own apartment and all this kind of stuff. And now they've teamed up and they're like, he's doing his show. They're doing each other's shows now. They're doing this live show together in Atlantic City. Chad Zumock, from what I've heard, I haven't seen the text messages, but the reason why he's blocked from Kevin's phone is because he threatened to sexually assault Kevin's children. And now they're best buds. So that's where Kevin's at. That's how desperate he is for anyone to be part of his show.
That's fucking insane.
You think?
A little bit.
It's not great. I can tell you that.
Who are these podcasts?